NFL Week 13, all game picks is great Thanksgiving lineup. We've got the Chiefs and the Cowboys, Packers and Lions, and what could be a great game if Joe Burrow is back, the Bengals at the Ravens. But let's start off with the Packers at the Lions. These are two teams, of course, division rivals, NFC North, play each other really, really well. In fact, the Packers season got off to a very impressive start with that home victory over the Lions in dominant fashion. Really held the Lions to almost zero offense. Scored a garbage time touchdown late, but all in all, the Packers did a great job. It was right after the Micah Parsons deal, so a lot of excitement in Green Bay and all that. But again, these two teams play each other tight. We like what Jordan Love has done this season. It's been a little inconsistent at times, similar with Jared Goff. We think, obviously, with the losing Ben Johnson to the Bears, that offense hasn't been as great as they've been in prior years. And then also the injuries on defense are a major concern for us. You look at the Packers stats, they're probably a little bit better than the Lions, but on Thanksgiving, we're going to go with the home team. We're a little bit biased. We're kind of a secondary Lions fan. We like them here 28-24. Next up, we have the Chiefs at the Cowboys. Could be a very interesting game. Both these teams with some interesting last-minute wins. The Cowboys, that shocking upset over the Eagles. That was our upset pick of the week. We're proud to say that. Got to toot our own horn, right? But Mahomes, this will be the first time he's played in Dallas, of course. Longtime, lifetime Texas resident, Texas Tech alum. That's my wife's school, so I have to plug him here a little bit. But we think that what the Cowboys have on offense, we were always thinking that Lamb and Pickens combination was going to be impressive. The problem with the Cowboys this year has been their defense. They've gotten a little bit better with a couple of recent trades, but is that enough to slow down Mahomes? The Cowboys did a great job slowing down the Eagles after getting down 21-0. Defense really showed up. But playing against Mahomes might be a little different issue. Of course, Mahomes and the Chiefs barely beat the Colts. It was an interesting comeback to win it late. We think they're going to have just enough to beat the Cowboys here, 24-21, which should be the second of two great Thanksgiving Day games. And the finale on Thanksgiving Day is going to be the nightcap, the Bengals at the Ravens. This game could be intriguing for a couple of different reasons. First of all, if Joe Flacco plays, it'd be obviously Flacco returning to the site of his Super Bowl success and those good teams in Baltimore. But we're really looking to see what's going on with Joe Burrow. We thought he had an opportunity to play in Week 12. Could he, in fact, be ready for this Week 13 Thanksgiving matchup? That would make this game a lot more interesting. We all know about the talent that Joe Burrow provides for the Bengals, but there's something about this Bengals-Ravens matchup that would be really interesting if he does play. There's been a lot of back and forth. It really doesn't matter necessarily with the home field. A lot of times the Bengals win at Baltimore and vice versa, so we think if Burrow were to play, this game would be totally different. We wonder if he would be all that sharp for his first game back. Either way, we were looking for, we hope that's what the outcome is going to be. But for this one, we're going to say the Ravens 28-20 and over the Bengals, even if Burrow plays, which is, like we said, our assumption. Bears at the Eagles on the Black Friday game. This could, in fact, be a playoff preview. I think the Bears are most likely going to make it as a wild card team, as we would expect the Packers or Lions to take the NFC North. But who knows? But with the Eagles, we love that defense. Vic Fangio's made such a difference in the past season and a half. We would expect Fangio to constantly attack Caleb Williams and confuse him with different looks, and he's clearly got to be one of the top 5 defensive coordinators in the league, if not even higher than that. On the offensive side, we look at the Bears' defensive stats. They are really lacking both against the run and the pass, again, against that Eagles offense. They haven't been as great this year, but obviously the talent is there. What Hurts can do throwing it, A.J. Brown, and then, of course, Saquon, who can do both receiving it and running the ball. We think the Eagles are going to be too much for the Bears here, especially in Philadelphia. We like them here 21-14 for the Black Friday game. Vikings at the Seahawks. And a quick question to Vikings fans. At the time that they decided to go with J.J. McCarthy versus re-signing Sam Darnold, did y'all feel that was the correct move? It's easy to say now in hindsight, but just curious. We didn't think that was that bad of a move. Really, we thought J.J. McCarthy would play better, and we thought Sam Darnold might, in fact, have just been a one-year wonder, the result of Kevin O'Connell's brilliant coaching. But that obviously hasn't proven to be the case. Darnold having a magnificent season for the Seahawks. And the coaching of new offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak has been really innovative as well, with a nice run-pass balance. And again, that defense has been one of the league's best. We think very impressed by what Mike McDonald has done in his second year as head coach, also leading that defense. So we think that success is going to continue here at home. 12th man, 34-21 over the visiting Vikings. Texans and the Colts face off in a tough AFC South divisional matchup. We look at these two teams, and we know the Colts got off to a great start, and we think they're legitimately good. You know, with Daniel Jones, a bounce-back season. Jonathan Taylor has always been good. And rookie sensation Tyler Warren, I think he should be in the discussion for Offensive Rookie of the Year. And the Texans, they don't do it in a flashy manner. Really, the offense is pedestrian at best. They've struggled to run the ball all season. C.J. Stroud really hasn't been great since his rookie season. I hate to say that. We are Texans fans. But Davis Mills 3-0, C.J. Stroud only 3-5. Stroud's the better player, but the results just haven't followed. But we think here the key is the defense. The Texans' defense is the exact type of defense that can turn Daniel Jones over. I think that happens here. We like the Texans 21-17. And let's take a quick look to see how we've done for Week 11 and Week 12. Week 11, we were 11-4 overall, and with a Sunday night victory for the Rams, 11-2 so far for Week 12. We're recording this before the Monday night game. We picked the 49ers in that game. So for these 2 weeks combined, 22-6, just shy of 80%. We're proud of that number. See if we can continue that going for Week 13. And before we continue, if you would, just join our channel. And if you like this video or find it useful, like it and then subscribe. We provide weekly NFL picks, highlights, and sports travel. Thank you. And the Raiders face the Chargers in a tough AFC West divisional matchup. Somewhat of a disappointing season for the Chargers. They're up there in the standings. We think if the season were to end today, they would be an AFC wildcard team. But how strong are they really? Losing their 2 key running backs. Offensive line completely decimated. They lost the entire left side of that line. And Justin Herbert has continued to play well, but you see great games like he had against Pittsburgh, struggled then on the road at Jacksonville. So we really don't know what to make of this team. We think as they're currently constructed, great coaching, great quarterback, still a little bit short in the AFC. But for this matchup, they're not as bad as the Raiders. They are at home. We think that home field's got to mean something. Herbert, you're going to trust more than Geno Smith. 24-17 Chargers in this one. And next we have the Jaguars at Nashville to face the Titans. Again, Jaguars, we just alluded to them playing and beating the Chargers as they did. But this is a team that's been erratic. We overuse the word inconsistent, but that's the case with Trevor Lawrence. We've admitted several times, not one of our favorite quarterbacks. Seeing him play in person was very disillusioning. We think hasn't really been there for the number 1 overall pick. And when we criticize someone like that, understand that's what we're saying. We're not saying he's terrible or the worst in the league. We think it's not up there commensurate. His performance is not commensurate with being a number 1 overall pick. So all you guys in Duval don't think we're totally hating on the guy. But for this matchup, the Titans clearly rebuilding. Cam Ward does not have enough around him. Obviously, they lost the head coach, so this one should be fairly easy for the Jaguars to win this 28-21. And we know we pronounce it Jaguars. We're doing that on purpose. So go with the Jaguars on this one. Rams at the Panthers. Rams, we had them in our latest power rankings as the number 1 overall team in the NFL. And we said then we really think it's the defense. We all know how great that offense is. McVay is an offensive coach. Matthew Stafford has been playing at an elite level for years. And then those receivers adding Devontae Adams to go along with Puka Nacua. And then the running game is great as well. But that defense started to play really well in the second half of 2024. This year, if you look at the stats, and we'll show you where to check that out later, they're really in top 5 in almost all the categories. So we look at this game on the flip side for the Panthers. This is an opportunity to show if they truly belong in the playoff conversation. They're right there on the bubble, right there close to being tied with Tampa Bay. We'll have to double check the standings on that. But we think if they can win here, that really is going to, silence a lot of the doubters, including us. We're not totally sold yet on the Panthers, and we'll reflect that with our pick. We think the Rams are just too good. We think they'll take care of business here on the road, 27-20 over the Panthers. But let's see what the Panthers can do. Can they step up? Falcons at the Jets. When we look at these two teams, both are in interesting and different positions going into 2026. Falcons have had a very disappointing season. Again, we live here in ATL. A lot of the fans here are just so frustrated with what this team has done. We like Michael Penix. We saw him playing in college in Washington. We thought that was a great talent, but it just hasn't. The performance hasn't been there. Of course, he's injured, out for the season. But now they're in bad shape. They traded their first-round pick to the Rams, so they won't have a first-round pick in 2026. They have a lot of players that are on the bubble or are not sure they're going to be with the future. I think the Jets, they've stockpiled draft picks for their trades. We like them in this game, 24-21. I think we're looking forward to see what they can do in 2026. Cardinals at the Buccaneers. Very disappointing season for both of these teams, especially for the Buccaneers. Cardinals a little bit of bad luck in that tough NFC West. The division we think is the strongest in the entire league. But the Buccaneers, first place in the NFC South, looked like they could run away with that division. Not so fast, said the Rams. Really shut down the Bucs 34-7 and also limited Baker and could have knocked him out for a couple of weeks. And when we look on the other side, we're curious to see what Teddy Bridgewater can do in relief. But for the Cardinals, a big concerning statistic in their game against the Jaguars. They won the turnover battle 4-0. And if you look at that historically, teams that win the turnover margin by that much, 4 or more, win the game 96% of the time. So the fact they lost that game to the Jaguars is really concerning. We were high on Jacoby going into that game, but now we're really concerned. And we think with the Cardinals having to go back on the road, even against the backup quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, we trust Todd Bowles in that defense a little bit. We think the Buccaneers will bounce back here. We would not bet this game. We like the Bucs here, 21-17. 49ers at the Browns. Can the 49ers keep up with the Rams and the Seahawks? We've made the case that the NFC West might be the best division in all of football, with the AFC North a little bit weaker this year because of Joe Burrow's injury, and the NFC North having some issues with the Packers and Lions not playing as dominant as they did last season. But anyway, to this game, we look at the Browns' defense as a big X factor in this game. You look at the stats, we've been checking that all week. They're really top against the pass, really great against the run as well. 49ers, of course, with Brock Purdy being back, what they can do, dynamic offense, Christian McCaffrey. We don't think they're going to score all that many points. We think they'll be able to score more than the Browns. We like them here 21-17, but expect that Browns defense to make it tough on the 49ers and keep the scoring down just a bit. Look maybe at the under. Saints at the Dolphins in South Florida. Interesting matchup here. Saints have played better than their record would reflect. We don't totally believe that the record tells you who you are, despite famous quotes to the contrary. And we look at the Dolphins. We know they've won a few games in a row, but we're not really buying into the hype. We spent 4 years in South Florida. You know how frustrated those fans are with Tua, Mike McDaniel. They already fired the general manager, so we're just wondering how much longer they're going to stick with Tua and Mike McDaniel. Again, they've played great, coached well, and played great the past couple of games, including that big victory over the Bills. Really shocking win there. But for this one, we do look at New Orleans. Clearly the rebuilding team. We have to trust Tua a little bit more than in rookie Shuck. So we think the Dolphins offense also with Achane and those receivers. We like him here over the Saints 24-17 at home. Josh Allen and the Bills travel to Pittsburgh to face the Steelers. Question here is going to be Aaron Rodgers' health, of course. Not sure how that injured wrist is going to heal up. Josh Allen, we have to wonder what the inconsistency in performance has been from week to week. We're not sure if they're ready to take over that AFC East or to defend their AFC East title as New England is surging. But when we look back at the game against the Texans, we don't think there's time to panic. We look at that matchup, and a lot of people don't know this, but the Texans have the number one overall defense in the entire league. Really held the Bills to only 12 points via the defense. The only touchdown that the Bills scored was a kickoff return touchdown, which goes against the special teams, not the defense. We think that Josh Allen's going to bounce back here. We think the Pittsburgh defense is good, still good, as always under Mike Tomlin, key players like Watt, etc. I think the Bills are going to bounce back. They know they've got to win to keep pace with the Patriots in the AFC East, so we think they'll take it here 28-24. And man, tell me this wouldn't have been a great matchup last season with Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels as the Broncos travel to Washington to face the Commanders. Of course, the key question we would have is Jaden Daniels going to be playing? We think there's a very good chance with the Commanders all but numerically or mathematically out of playoff contention. They might be, for all we know. We think it might be wise to just kind of maybe shelve or what do they call it, shut down Jaden Daniels for the rest of the season. Let's save him. Let's not risk maybe a career-threatening injury for such a magnificent talent. But very disappointing season for the Commanders. Of course, backup quarterback Marcus Mariota is not exactly a chump in there. Great performance, has that opportunity to score, but the problem we think here is going to be the Commanders' defense going up against that really balanced offensive attack that the Broncos put out there. I think that'll be too much. I think it'll be a low-scoring game at Washington. Bo Nix and the Broncos 27-17 over the Commanders. Giants at the Patriots, one of those rare matchups that's been the matchup for 2 Super Bowls, both of which were victories Eli Manning. But in this matchup, we have to say the Patriots have the advantage. We're curious to see whether Jackson Dart is going to get the start. Had a really good rookie season, of course, marred by injury. A couple of early struggles, but really has been overperforming based on what you'd expect from a rookie. And Jameis, we've always kind of liked him, although he'll kind of get you with that interception. But when he's on, it can be one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Again, our favorite word, inconsistent. But when we look at the Patriots, wow, we're really impressed. With the Bills continuing to struggle, I think the Bills will ultimately still make the playoffs as a wild card. We have to think that the AFC East favorite continues to be the Patriots. We think that Coach Mike Vrabel and Drake May know this is important. They've got to win every game. There should be no letdowns. I think they'll take care of business here, 31-21 over the G-Men at home. We talked a lot about statistics in this video. I want to take you to our website, show you the numbers that we look at when we analyze games. This is our sortable statistics page, offense. Look at the Bills-Texans game, Week 12. So the key number we want to focus on, see points allowed, that's what the points you've scored, points the defense has allowed, and the differential is the key. So both these teams have a 6-point positive differential. That's solid. Then we want to look at offense. We want to focus on yards per attempt and yards per carry. So the Bills, in this case, have a slight advantage on offense. Now let's look at the defense. So here we have our defensive statistics page. And what we want to focus on here, again, these are the points allowed. The Texans have a 7-point advantage there defensively. Then what they allow passing. The yardage looks the same, right? The Bills allow 170 Texans, but the key number you want to look at is yards per attempt. That's what YPA is, and it's almost a yard less for the Texans. Similarly, rushing, way lower number overall rushing yards. The Bills have been gashed by the run lately. Then you want to look at focus on yards per carry. It's 1.5 yards per carry fewer for the Texans, meaning they're good against the run and against the pass. So overall analysis here tells us Texans have an edge, a slight edge, and then we look at the Bills being 6-point favorites. That's what led us to take both the Texans to cover that line, and then also because the defense is the key for the Texans, look at the under, both of which hit for Week 12.
That's all for this time. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to sharing our future videos with you.